Alright, so after playing Pokemon for years, and one of the biggest major issues with Pokemon has always been preventing a Pokemon, like a shiny Pokemon, from struggling itself to death, assuming that, you're trying to catch a Pokemon with a low catch rate and there's really nothing you can do about it. How can you prevent the Pokemon from struggling itself to death without killing itself? Because it seems like as the Pokemon games have progressed into the future, it seems like while some legendary Pokemon have actually gotten easier to catch, they fixed the struggle attack. So no longer can, well, I mean, it's been like this for a while, but struggle never misses, no matter, you can't even use a ghost type against it now without it. And it always, and from what I understand, it has a 100% chance base accuracy. So I mean, even if you lowered it to like what, 60% or 70, it still could hit. But there's ways to prevent a Pokemon from struggling, and what I'm going to show you today is actually something very interesting. So if you're not familiar with Pokemon, there's hidden abilities, there's abilities Pokemon normally get, but there's only 8 Pokemon, I think it's 8 Pokemon, that are allowed to learn the ability Harvest. Now, again, it's a hidden ability. It was introduced in Generation 5, and essentially what this ability allows us to do is, I mean, based on weather conditions, if they're normal weather conditions, the Pokemon has a 60% chance of recycling a berry item. If I got that right. So what you can do is a Pokemon like Execute, because there's other Pokemon too. Execute is a Pokemon that has the hidden ability. Well, I think you've got to breed for it, or however that works. I got to look into it. But once you have an Execute that has, or you can evolve it into an Execute, or if you want to raise its stats just a tad bit higher, it has the ability Harvest. Well, what you want to do is you want to teach Executor, or whatever Pokemon has that ability, Harvest, and you want to teach it what is known as Skill Swap, which allows it to swap its ability with the targeted Pokemon. What you essentially are doing is you want to skill swap the Harvest ability with the Pokemon you're trying to catch, assuming the shiny. And then what you can do is switch your Pokemon with a Pokemon with the ability. Well, now you want to give one of your Pokemon a Leppa Berry. You want to trade items with that Pokemon, so you essentially want to give that Leppa Berry to that shiny. And now all you have to do is just switch to a Pokemon where I think if you use Sunny Day or Drought, I'm not sure if Primal Groudon would actually be able to prevent this too, because most people give it like the red orb, and it ups the harshness of the weather. But I think what happens is if you actually use Drought, just the ability Drought, like a Charizard might even know it, and a Mega Evolved Charizard might actually have Drought. I forget which one, but anyways, what you do is you have the Drought ability, and what this does is this should raise the sunlight for the Pokemon Harvest to 100%. So, because if you don't, then it's just a base 60%. Well, essentially this is what happens. So, when a Pokemon runs out of power points, it essentially uses Struggle. Well, with a Leppa Berry, essentially what a Leppa Berry does is it restores 10 PPs, power points, to that Pokemon's move that ran out of PPs. Now, with a 60% chance for every 10 turns, mind you, every turn there's a chance that the ability will kick in for the Pokemon when it uses its Leppa Berry. Not on the same turn, but like within the next, with the turns after that. So what ends up happening is the Pokemon is allowing itself to renew its item. Kind of like the ability Recycle, or the moves Recycle, except only Porygon, Porygon Z, and Porygon 2 are allowed to only learn Recycle that I know. Unless, of course, you teach it to like Smeargle, and it's a really good strategy. You can teach. So with the Leppa Berry, it allows, and there's a good chance that even with that 60% chance, or if you want to turn it into a 100% chance, and I think if you use Drizzle, it actually cuts it even further. But well, either way, you want the recycling ability or the harvest ability to keep kicking in. So with this being said, as long as this Pokemon does not run out of power points, essentially what happens is you can essentially buy yourself more turns to catch a shiny Pokemon. So like, for example, if you wanted to use a Pokemon and then, maybe switch to a Pokemon, then you'll false swipe it until it has 1 health, or just keep putting it to sleep, so that way you keep buying yourself more turns. Essentially the idea with this harvest ability combo that I'm making this video It's to kind of essentially, prevent any Pokemon from struggling itself. So as long as this strategy works, and as long as there's nothing preventing this ability from happening, like, don't use like what is known as like Venom Drench, if that's what the attack was called. I'm trying to remember, was it Pole? That one new Ultra Beast that was introduced in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Like that attack, for example, even though there's plenty of other Pokemon that knew Venom Drench before, which disables the ability, if I got that right. But essentially the idea is that you want to use a Pokemon that, don't kill the Pokemon, but if you run into a shiny, especially a shiny legendary, and you're afraid it's going to struggle itself, use this combo and you'll win every time. And just, make sure if you have to keep, and then go farm like 999 Lepa berries if it goes that far, or use a Rotom catcher and up the catch rate on the Pokemon, just in case, like, hypothetically you're trying to play a game where, like, you run into a shiny and you're afraid it's going to struggle itself to death, and you can do this. Now you can prevent the Pokemon from killing itself, and as long as you don't kill it, and as long as you don't run out of Pokeballs, you're eventually going to catch that shiny. So I hope this works, especially, again, legendary shiny, because some Pokemon can, because it really depends. It depends on what Pokemon you're fighting. It depends on how many power points they have. There's really, in Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun, I'm not sure if Ho-Oh has Skill Swap, but I was fighting Lugia when I caught my Lugia, and I think Lugia was the Pokemon that took me the longest. I didn't use the Harvest ability trick. I didn't even know this until after I caught all the legendaries on my game. But apparently, Lugia has one of the 4 moves is Skill Swap, so it'll keep skill swapping its pressure around, and the pressure uses 2 PP moves. So that might actually, you might want to use the Harvest move if you're trying to capture Lugia. If you're having trouble, because I remember it took me like almost 20 turns just to catch Lugia. And I think Tapu Fini was also another one that took me a while, but that's essentially what you want to do, though. You want to make sure that for every, that's essentially it. With the Harvest ability, you can essentially buy yourself more turns, therefore the Pokemon doesn't kill itself, therefore the shiny stays in effect, and therefore you can catch it. If, like, hypothetically it was to drag out for, like, a ridiculous number of turns, because it can happen. It doesn't always happen, but it can happen. Or better yet, if you really want to save a lot of time, just have a Master Ball. If you ever run into a shiny, like, and you're going shiny hunting for, like, legendaries, use a Master Ball. If you want to. You don't have to, but, there's always that option, So, hopefully this helps, guys, If you like this video, again, comment, rate, subscribe, favorite, share. I'm going to find more interesting abilities on this channel and share them with people, because there's a lot of people that play Pokemon, and there's already people on YouTube that already make videos about this stuff, but it's nice to talk about this stuff, it's to show appreciation, and, have, like, maybe hundreds of thousands, millions of people playing these games, maybe learn something new, maybe so many people didn't even know this. Maybe some people did because they brought it up. But I looked into it and I was like, wow, this is actually very handy, because, shiny Pokemon can be a pain in the ass to catch, depending on which Pokemon it is, and depending on, like, what move pools they have, or power points, how many turns they have until they start struggling. But, again, it really depends. They introduced it back in Gen 5, so it works all the way up to Pokemon Black and White 1, all the way up until Black and White, or all the way up until Ultra Moon and Sun, and I guarantee you the rest of the series will have the same idea, but hopefully that works. Again, if you have any questions on how this works, just let me know. I'll be glad to explain it better. And if you have any requests or something you want me to look into, hey, I'll be glad to. Thanks.